Hello everybody, welcome back to TM3 Life. So we are going to be installing the Tesla high power wall connector today. And I just want to show everybody the supplies that we've gotten. So right here you can see we have the Tesla high power wall connector in its box. Last episode we did the unboxing of that, so we won't do that again. And on top of that you will see 75 feet of 6'3" copper wire that will be running from the electrical panel to the wall connector. So let's get to work. Alright, we're out in the garage and we are ready to do the installation of the wall connector. Right here is the location where the wall connector will be installed. As you can see, there is 2-inch foam block insulation that I have put there as just preliminary installation before the whole garage gets insulated. I think that's a decent height from the floor, so it seems to be stuff I can reach right up, grab the charger off here, plug it right into the car. I think that's going to work out very well. So let's go ahead and get the mounting bracket installed on the wall. And there you go. So let's see what we have for installation. As you can see, hopefully the camera's picking that up. It's hard to make this out, but the level says that it is completely level and plumb. As you can see, I've drilled the hole in the bottom of the bracket, brought my 6'3" wire through there. At the top, I've left an extra loop of wire here, so in case I ever need it in the future I can pull it out. This is not just plywood holding this up, so if you look in here you can see I've got 2 stacked 2x6s that are anchored in with 4-inch deck screws, 4-inch deck screws on each side. So the lineup, I apologize for the lighting. Lighting's bad, but that's not going anywhere. And yeah, I think that's going to be fantastic. Okay, so now we're off to wire it up. Okay, so here we are at the panel. We're going to wire up our 240 volt double pole 50 amp breaker to our 6'3" wire coming in. So we have our black, our red, our white, which is our neutral, which I will end up wiring to the neutral bar on the electrical panel, even though we actually won't be using the white wire with the HPWC. And of course this is our ground, which will be go ahead and screwed into the ground bar. Now before you do any work on an electrical panel, you want to make sure that you shut off the main power to the breaker, which is this switch right here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. There we go. All power has now been killed to the panel. Let me just check with my fluke stick here and see if indeed the power has been cut to the panel. See, we're not getting any readings on the bars, on the panel anywhere. Now you'll see we'll still get a reading here. This is a service coming into the panel. So again, even though we have the main power shut off the panel, you're still going to be extremely difficult with dealing with anything electrical because these are live. But as long as you're working with the panel, which is all we're going to be working with, you'll notice that this right here is the power bus that the actual breaker will attach to. There's no power there. So we are going to be in really good shape, and there's no power going to anything in this panel. So we're in good shape. I do want to have a disclaimer here, because I'm showing you how I'm doing my electrical wiring for the HPWC. Doesn't mean that this is what you should follow. Please do not follow what I'm doing. This is just what I'm doing to get this installed. I don't expect you to follow my instructions. I expect you to be very cautious when doing anything electrical and to always consult a licensed electrician when doing anything like this to your home, as electrical work is extremely dangerous. So I'm going to go ahead and wire up this breaker, and we're going to plug it in right here, and once that's done I'll be back with you. Okay, so at this point I have the ground wired in, I have the neutral wired in, I've got the red and the black connected into my 50 amp breaker. So at this point all we need to do is plug the breaker onto the panel, and then what we'll do is we'll power the panel back up, but we're going to leave this breaker off until we wire the HPWC on the other end. So let's go ahead and plug this in. It should snap right into place on the back side, and then you rock it forward right into place like that. We'll go ahead and we'll power this back on. We'll come back here when we're ready to power up the HPWC once the wiring on that side has been done, and then we'll see what we get. Okay, so here we are at the high power wall charger. And I just wanted to show you just a few things that are kind of important to this installation. So with the wall charger, there's this cover here, and I apologize for the lighting. Lighting's really bad. It's kind of nighttime out here, and so I've just got some halogen lights. But anyway, on the bottom of this, let's see if we can get an image of that. Let's see if I'll lift this cover up here. And you can see that there is a little plastic piece here. I don't know. Maybe I'll get a flashlight on that, see if we can get some better view of it. There we go. So right there, there's a screw that goes there, and you remove that screw with this Torx security bit. It's got a hole in the middle. It's a tiny one. And once you remove that, then this cover lifts off on the bottom, and there's snaps along the sides. So you unsnap that, and it just comes right off. Set that aside. I'm going to go ahead and leave the plastic on so it doesn't get scratched. And then there's this cover, and this cover has the same thing. It has 6 more screws, larger screws, and again those also require a different size security Torx bit, which again both those bits, those come included with the wall charger. So once you have those removed, and you can take that cover off, you'll notice on the back of this cover there is a circuit board, and that circuit board has a plug right there. Set that aside, and that plug is right here. It's taped up for now because we don't need to use it for right now, but that plug is what's going to essentially power the light that runs up and down on the front of this charger when it's in use. And I think even there's a green light on it even when it's not in use, just to let you know that it has power. So that'd be one of the last things we install. But in here also I did want to touch base. Let me just get my flashlight in here so you can really see. Down here there's a red dip switch setting on the circuit board, and depending on your wiring and how you have this wired, you may need to adjust your dip switches. My first dip switch needed to go down because I'm line to line wiring. The second one I'm just leaving up because that's the communication, which is a normal communication. I don't think you're going to mess much with that. But then right next to it you'll see the black with the little gray dial inside, and depending on what amp breaker you have this attached to will depend on what that needs to be turned to. I had to turn mine to 8 because it's a 50 amp breaker, which is going to pull 40 amps. So that's what mine is set to. Those are things that you're going to have to change because this is not going to come, I'm sure this is not going to come the way that you need it. It's possible, but highly unlikely. And then in here, down there on the bottom, is where the ground will plug in, and then these 2 green sections here where our red and our black will plug in. So I'm going to go ahead and get this wired up on the wall. So we should have this done shortly, actually, in the snap of a finger. Okay, so it's wired. Back there I've got the copper set in, got the red, the black, and down in there, let me get my flashlight here so you can see that a little better. You can see down there I got my white wire just capped off, because like I said, in here we don't need to use the white wire. And you may ask yourself, why did I run the white wire, or actually why did I hook the white wire up to the neutral in the electrical panel? And that's just because if I ever want to move this and put this somewhere else,
if I would want to put something here, so more than likely I would put a NEMA 1450, and I would need that white wire. So that's why I went ahead and hooked it up on the panel side. So now we're going to go ahead and remove the tape and plug that in. Let me see if I can get that here. Alright, so pull this tape off. Sorry again for the lighting and the shadows on this. There we go. Alright, bad lighting, okay. So let's see, I'm going to set this right back here. So hopefully you guys can see this here. Try to get out of the way and not shadow this. But so here's the plug. There's only one way it can go in. So we're going to go ahead and plug that in. And then this cover goes up here like this. And then we'll just hand tighten one of these in there. Just enough to hold it on there so it doesn't fall off. Alright, I'll go ahead and reconnect the rest of those up. And then we'll power it up at the breaker and see what we get. Okay, so now we have the whole cover, at least the main cover here, with all 6 of its security Torx screws in place. Now I have the actual decorative cover that says Tesla on it. I'm going to go ahead and snap that on, and we're going to hold off on putting the last screw in the bottom here, just to make sure that when we power it on that everything works before I get this all connected. So let's go ahead and get this back on. Should go on the top first. Alright, I'll leave this on too in case we gotta take this back off. Seems to be secured all the way. Alright, let me go ahead and adjust the light over by the electrical panel, and we will power this on and see what we get. Okay, so we're back over here at the panel. As you can see, I've actually got the panel on. That is the breaker that we just installed, 50 amp. It's off right now. Let me go ahead and turn that on. Alright, that's powered on. Also, make sure that you always have your breakers labeled. So this is my label for my breaker panel, and as you can see, I have 29 and 31 taken up by the 50 amp breaker, and I've just labeled it Tesla, which makes perfect sense to me and anyone else who looks at it, which is important. You want to have that. Let's go back and see if we have power at the HPWC. Look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that with the bright light there, but if I shadow it, there you go. You can see we do have power. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put in the security screw. Heard that this screw is really easy to strip, and you can also snap the plastic on the bottom of the cover if you're not careful. So you got to be really careful putting this on. So just make sure that you're not stripping it. And it doesn't need to be super tight. It's just a security screw so people can't take the cover off. So no reason to make this tighter than it needs to be. Just a little bit snug. That ought to do it. There we go. And now we have our high power wall connector by Tesla installed and ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and coil up the 24-foot charging cable, and then hang up the charging adapter into the side of the unit right in here, and then we'll come back and we'll take a look at that. Alright, here we are. I have it all coiled up. As you can see, the wall charger also holds the coils of the cable, which is nice. Which is also another good reason why you want that anchored really well, because the cable is pretty heavy, especially when you have the 24-foot cable. And I suggest, like I said in my unboxing video, that you just go ahead and get the 24-foot cable, because you always better with more than with less. So And it's the same price, so get the bigger cable. And this is where you hang up the actual charger. It says Tesla. It's also got the little button which will automatically open the charge port door on your Tesla. So at this point, the next video we need to do is we need to get a hold of one of our local Vermont Tesla owners, as I don't have my Model 3 yet. We need to test this out. We'll invite somebody over, we'll meet them, have them go ahead, pull their car in, plug it in, charge it up, and see what kind of miles per hour we're getting. And until next time, this is TM3 Life.